The rest of us looking at this, the rest of us are left to look at this disaster the Maine Republican Party has pulled off, and we're left to wonder if this was rigged, if this was just a fiasco, and we're left to wonder how long they are going to wait before they actually sort this out. Joining us now is Bill Nemetz. He's a columnist for the Portland Press-Herald and the Maine Sunday Telegram. He's been following Maine state politics for more than 30 years. Mr. Nemetz, thank you very much for your time tonight. We're happy to have you here.
Nice to be here, Rachel.
Can you share your latest reporting for us on this in terms of what's going on in Waldo and Washington counties and these other places that haven't had their votes totaled?
Sure. Well, to pick up where you left off, the Waldo County Republicans today voted to ask the state committee to formally censure the state Republican chairman, a guy by the name of Charlie Webster. They initially wanted him fired, but weren't able to get consensus on that, so now they're going to go to the state committee next month on March 10th and ask that he be censured. In Washington County, they're going ahead, and they're going to have their caucuses on Saturday, and whether the Republican Party formally counts them or not, they're resting assured that those of us in this business will be counting very diligently and see what kind of turnout they get. The argument that they don't matter is based on their turnout from 2008, in which Ron Paul didn't do that well, actually. I think what they're failing to take into account this time is the amount of attention focused on Washington County is unprecedented, and their turnout come Saturday might eclipse the turnout from the rest of the state this past weekend.
It does seem remarkable that since we know that the proclaimed margin of victory for Mitt Romney is 196 votes, that's essentially a billboard for Washington County. Hey, you need a 196 vote margin for Ron Paul if you want to flip the state. I mean, that gives them a real specific target to aim at if the Republican Party can be counted on to include those votes, or I guess if the country can be counted on to count those votes when we decide who won the state of Maine.
And there's not a lot to do up in Washington County this time of year, so this is high entertainment for these people. So I think come Saturday, you're going to see a lot of people trooping down to those caucuses who've never been there before, which is really what was part of the problem this past weekend. We had a number of people showing up at these caucuses, many of them Ron Paul supporters, who were not familiar with the process, not familiar with the rules. Lay over that a state Republican Party that didn't do a very good job planning or executing this thing, and that leaves us with the mess we have. So all eyes will be on Washington County this weekend, and I think those folks are going to have an outsized impact, not only on Maine's ultimate results, but, as you say, on the whole national narrative here.
Well, let's say that happens, and Washington County does turn out a ton of people, and let's say they turn out enough people and enough of a lopsided result that it does, at least theoretically, flip the overall result for the state. Is it your sense that the Maine Republican Party chairman, the state party, would honor that? I mean, they say they won't, but do you think they really would say that doesn't matter, we're sticking with Mitt Romney and we don't want to hear anything else about it?
Well, their position all along has been this, that this was essentially a beauty contest, a straw poll, as Charlie Webster put it, a snapshot in time. And Maine's delegate selection process actually is not materially affected by this. They go to their convention in May, and it's at that state convention that they will choose which delegates go to the national convention. So right now, because of all the problems they had, the Republican Party is trying desperately to kind of sweep this whole thing behind them and say it essentially didn't matter anyway. As to whether those votes count, that's something that will be brought, among other things, before the state committee when it meets on March 10th, and it will ultimately be up to them as to whether to reopen those totals and plug in all the missing numbers, or just call it a day and tell everyone they'll see them in May. It's very unclear right now what's going to happen.
March 10th, conveniently after Super Tuesday, when the race will be essentially decided. Bill Nemetz, columnist for the Portland Press-Herald. This is fascinating. Thank you for helping us understand it. I really appreciate your time.
My pleasure, Rachel.
All right.